next speaker is Mr. Bernd from Nokia Siemens Networks. He's the head of machine-to-machine at Nokia Siemens. So please could you all give a very warm welcome to Bernd, who will be talking about monetizing the M2M opportunity. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much for the introduction. So I'm going to talk about monetizing the M2M opportunity, and particularly I'm looking from a mobile operator point of view. The reason for that is I'm a bit biased. I have seen mobile operators acting in that area since the last 3 years, and I truly believe there will be one of the consolidators in the M2M area. Okay, so starting with the question where the money is, I think from the Telekom Austria group presentation, we already saw that actually the traffic revenue alone is not what is really the long run opportunity. So what we have to look at, for example, in this picture you see 5 analyst reports indicating different total revenue for the mobile operators. Forrester Gartner believe it's well below 1%. Even if you take the most optimistic one, it's well below 3% of the total revenue. So it's the M2M opportunity for a mobile operator point of view is actually quite niche considering the total operation. And therefore we have been engaging since many years now with some of the operators and looking into alternatives way to capture higher value into the market chain. And the business focus needs to be extended beyond the connectivity. I think that's a clear message also on these 2 days of the event from our just a presentation from Telekom Austria, something what is truly the belief of Nokia Siemens Networks as well. So looking then into the business chain, we saw a lot of these value chain diagrams. I'm not running through it in detail, but I think we start from the left with the module supplier, the smart object supplier, the network or mobile operator, the system integrator, the service provider, the reseller, and then finally the end user. So it's a massive value chain. It's a quite a difficult chain to really capture the end user's attention, and also if you think about the forecast, we talk about billions of devices, about massive scale up of the industry. This value chain will not support the scale we need going forward. In addition to that, looking at the distributed value capturing on that value chain is also showing actually that there is no clear winner currently who could capture more value than others. And I'm not saying now when I'm proposing there will be someone who has a great opportunity to consolidate that value chain. I'm not saying that means eventually there will be other players taken out of the value chain in general, but I believe there will be a mobile operator or telecom operator centric value chain where telecom operators try to capture not only the connectivity part but also include the service enablement. By the way, that is here showing between 30 and 40% of the total value. So it's a fundamental actually part of the total opportunity, and it's very close to the service provider's business. So it's the telecom provider's business, the service enablement with platforms, enablement capabilities like quality of service, service provisioning, service monitoring, and also application management. And then there's the system integrators. There will be actually cases in the future going forward. It's also something I'm going to suggest in a couple of slides, that we don't really need system integrators in all the cases. Yes, we do need them at the moment, especially in larger enterprise-driven projects where you have devices with 5,000, 10,000 10,000 devices, applications with 10,000 devices, where you also customize the device. Yeah, so it's kind of a very bespoke vertical integration requirement, and I think many enterprises will require that because they want to differentiate with M2M capabilities. But going down the the road and seeing small to medium-sized enterprises, they're actually not too keen getting an offering from a system integrator or from a service provider or from a reseller, but they would be happy to get an end-to-end offering which is delivered alternatively rather than installed on-site with a proprietary device environment. So moving ahead, so the key message here on this slide was really to discuss the value chain, to discuss the distributed value from different players, and also to identify the opportunity for a massive consolidation. And I do see that some of the operators are going to exactly drive this strategy forward, as we have seen from the Telekom Austria group, but also yesterday looking at the speech or remembering the speech from Telefonica, from German Telecom, from Vodafone, from EE Everything Everywhere here in the UK. They all understand the need to grow the business into something which is beyond the pure connectivity provider. So the natural next step for an operator is the service enablement. And that service enablement, for example, was nicely described yesterday by German Telekom Jürgen Hase, who talked about these innovation tools, innovation platforms, developer environments. And exactly these are tools which will help them to position themselves to capture not only enterprise customers directly, but also application developers and innovators and device vendors, and then innovate on top of their network environment. So this is a very important strategy, and we see actually many operators moving into that domain. It's not only Deutsche Telekom, it's also AT&T, definitely, Verizon Wireless, but also in Europe, like we heard from the Telekom Austria group today. And then the next step, which the most challenging one, is turning the service provider, so the mobile voice or the voice service provider, into a machine-to-machine service provider. And that's the long-term vision which is shared within Nokia Siemens Networks. So we really do believe there is an opportunity to become also an M2M service provider. However, that will not be a single focused opportunity. It will be a very selective approach, selective in terms of verticals and selective in terms of the application offered to the market. And the most important for the operators we have been talking to is that they like to see the scalability of that going forward. The current value chain is not geared up for the massive scalability we need, and our feedback from the market is that operators are extremely keen finding a sweet spot in order to scale up the market very fast. A potential way forward, before we going into that way forward, let's discuss some of the key challenges there. I think the M2M service provider role, we discussed that earlier. I think there was a question from Judith Packard about how about the B2B go-to-market strategies and the different skills, the different, on the sales side. I see a lot of actually sales teams still from our customers who are using some of our tools where they're selling data SIMs rather than M2M SIMs. The reason is because the data SIMs are priced 3 times higher than the M2M SIMs, so they're getting a better incentive out of selling data SIMs rather than M2M SIMs. So there's a lot of things, so the devil is in the detail here. It's a lot of enablement. It's like a transformation. It's nothing for the short haul here. It's a long haul transformation project operators have to do, but the good news is many of them are doing it, and they're investing, like we were just hearing from the Telekom Austrian colleague. the vertical industry know-how. So how do you get it on board? How do you overcome that missing component? I think there are ways of doing so. As yesterday in the Telefonica speech, we listened about the ecosystem management. I would like to propose a tool which helps to overcome that challenge. Particularly, it's a very important point to become a vertical, to complement your existing capabilities as an operator with the vertical know-how. Enterprise IT capabilities and processes. Again, we discussed already during the 2 days this topic, so I'm not touching a new point. Personally, I feel it's overrated. The capability is overrated because of new next generation IT, which is cloud computing. And cloud computing will help you in two ways. In one way, it will help you that you do not need to deploy your server or your capabilities on-site in the enterprise IT environment. So you can remotely offer a software as a service approach, and that is widely also required by enterprises, which I've seen, I've worked with. And the other one is the processes and the process integration and automation. The cases I have actually in mind is that the enterprise customers, they do not want to have an additional process tool. They do not want to have an additional middleware or enterprise bus environment for helping them to capture M2M value. What they will really want to have is they want to have an easy, flexible way of integrating the M2M data into the existing tools and processes. So into the existing SAPs and Oracles and other environments. And therefore you just need to adjust. Obviously there are complexities related to it, but you need to basically open up some of the APIs for the existing integrator, for the existing process supplier like a SAP environment to integrate the M2M data into the existing environment. And I think that is more required than having really a consultative-led business process approach on site. I think many enterprises are really capable of managing their tasks themselves. So the next area then is the service enablement. So the standardization, the missing standardization of technologies is a massive challenge if you want to scale up your service and enablement opportunity. The device complexities, the proprietary integration requirements for a case-by-case bespoke development is not helping you to scale up the business. So you have to have a solution to overcome that complexity, definitely. Also the application deployment and the application management is something we have identified as a key challenge for operators to deploy. It's really a big problem. There's a different task of managing a voice service in the telco environment than really an M2M service. So the end-to-end service management will be a topic to spend, I guess, the next years on. And finally, we discussed a lot about connectivity. I will, in order to save some time, actually not jump into that too much, but the flexibility of building up tariffs for specific customer cases and creating bundled offers in the M2M domain will require, I believe, a separated BSS environment. So you will not, and actually the AT&Ts, the Vodafones with the GDSD platforms, the Deutsche Telekoms, the Telefonicas, they're already doing that. They have a dedicated machine-to-machine BSS environment where they manage their M2M business. And this BSS environment fits very well to their dedicated business lines of M2M. They have also an own organization which requires that dedicated BSS environment. However, not every operator has that in place. Many of them using actually an enterprise BSS. So they have just scaled it up for M2M, and they are now a bit under pressure, I would say that in this way, because they need now to think, how to be flexible, how to create tariffs which are M2M specific, how to drive M2M self-management forward, how to be flexible, how to react to the M2M demands and not to the general enterprise demand. And therefore, I think there's an opening of BSS, dedicated BSS OSS environments for M2M, which is emerging at the moment. It's either based on a remote installation or on-site installation, or it will be a cloud-based environment offered to the operator. So all these challenges are massive. I'm not trying to simplify that. I'm not trying to say that operators will overcome them in ease. However, what we believe is there is a way of resolving most of them. Not all of them, like the marketing and the sales capabilities of an operator is obviously something they have to do and work very hard by themselves. However, we think a modular cloud computing platform will really help the operator to become these value chain consolidator and fundamentally help them to capture a higher market value. On this modular platform, I'm not trying to go through the boxes here or make it more complicated as it should be. It has three main layers. One is the connectivity layer. That's the BSS OSS dedicated layer for M2M. The second layer, the red one, is the application management, the application platform layer. And then the final one, the third one, that's the green one, is helping the operator to attract the different vertical expertise through partnerships, ecosystem management, developer environment, SDKs, web, REST APIs, or developer sandbox. So really to create innovations on top of their network platforms going forward. Let me take that picture and walk you through three examples. We discussed already about vertical know-how and capabilities, also about the IT capability, enterprise IT capability an operator needs to consolidate the value chain. In addition, I think the device complexity is a massive complexity for the industry. And with this model, for example, and the use case introduced yesterday with Mark Overton from Everything Everywhere, where we are partnering actually and rolling out a smart vending machine operation based on that platform. I think it's a nice way of showing what you can do until we have the right standard in place, but still scale up your business. So basically what we are offering is a software as a service, a vending machine operator software as a service, charging environment, near field communication, a tool for cashless payment, as well as the integration to a Facebook application so that you can actually create communities related or around your purchasing behavior. And so all of these ingredients together are based on a web service environment, and it's offered through a software as a service to the vending operators in the UK. And they are using them then to optimize their operation. They are using them to increase field management efficiencies, to improve the capabilities they have in terms of stock forecasting. They even plan to do advertising based on vending machines because they have built up a relationship. Let's say a vending machine is standing in an office environment. You have frequent users for one vending machine. They haven't actually started building the relationship. This is now happening, a relationship between end users purchasing at the vending machine and the vending machine, and the vending machine operators, so the enterprises, will be able to do targeted advertising based on the using behavior of these customers in front of the vending machine. However, one of the key challenges for Everything Everywhere was the idea of scaling up that business. It's easy to deploy that opportunity on a bespoke vertical integration, but they really started to get convinced about that model when they understood they can scale it up. and scale it up in terms of making it independent from the devices, the proprietary devices you integrate into these vending machines. So basically what we are doing here is, with the one example with a smart agent client, we integrate multiple devices into the platform and expose these devices through a common API mediation layer, so that your overall innovation, your software innovation, like the cashless payment, like the Facebook integration, like the vending machine application which helps the vending operator to optimize the field force teams, etc. This is not changing at all based on the devices as it used to be in the M2M industry, but what we can do is we integrate new devices, new device capabilities into the platform, and then roll it out, continue to sell it to other cases or to other vending operators across UK, and actually everything everywhere has the idea to globalize that capability as well. So, and therefore the device independency on the software innovation is even more important. As you know, we have a lot of local variants, a lot of local device vendors around the globe, and you know, having an opportunity to scale your business up with only 2 weeks of or 1 week of device integration is really something at least our clients have been looking for, and that platform is enabling it for them. Okay, moving on, just some advertising on our product here. We call it the 3 Cs. It's a solution, a cloud-based application from Nokia Siemens Networks. The green part, the ecosystem enablement, is called Cumulosity Create. The red part, we are calling it Cumulosity Conduct. It's the application platform part. And then the purple one is Cumulosity Connect. So it's the 3 Cs of our machine-to-machine solution, and it's purely dedicated to operators who want to increase their value chain position and increase the capturing of value in the M2M domain. So we have no channel conflict whatsoever. We are dedicating our success to the success of our operator customers. 2 examples. I spoke already about the vending machine. I will skip that slide later. The other example is Telemetrics. It's the idea of something we discussed already yesterday. It's the idea of having multiple applications running on the same device. Again, the current M2M market is very device-centric, so you innovate your software capabilities related to an existing device, or even specify the device themselves and then innovate the software on top of that device. It's bespoke, and it's actually supporting 1, 2 revenue streams, maybe 3 revenue streams per device. With the platform I was showing earlier, we have now the opportunity to separate the device and device data, or with the opportunity to capitalize different use cases on that device. And in this case, we are working very heavily with some Asian operators to monetize telemetrics opportunities. We started actually the project with usage-based insurance. It's a typical case, you know, it's a one single application. You go into the market, you find an insurance company who would like to bill the insurance, the car insurance customers in the future based on usage rather than based on a monthly or yearly premium. And from there we kind of moved ahead and identified that actually equipping the cars with an onboard unit, so with an M2M device just for one use case might make business sense, but it's actually much more attractive to equip the cars with one or with many more use cases in addition to usage-based insurance. And here we come into an interesting situation where the operator in this Asian example is actually putting themselves as a data broker. I think this morning was a discussion about that. So they are investing into equipping connected cars with an onboard unit. So it's a small device to make it M2M capable. And then they are planning to sell this information or the data they are gathering from that onboard unit, not only to their existing customer, which is an insurance company for usage-based insurance, but to many other players in the market related to smart cities, related to teenage tracking, emergency call, roadside assistant, remote diagnostic, and there are many different players related to it. So it's not just one customer who are going to pay for that data. There are many different players who are willing and accepting the opportunity to participate in that ecosystem, which is then enabled by in this case, it's a mobile operator in an Asian country. Okay, so we discussed about this example vending machine. It's a software as a service project here in the UK, and Mark was already highlighting that yesterday in his speech. I would like to, would like to skip that and come to a very bold statement actually from us as a Nokia Siemens Networks, because that's something we have figured out during the last 3 years, and I believe I truly believe that's the case, with an operator climbing up the value chain, becoming a service enabler or even a M2M service provider. They can easily double their revenues and easily increase their profitability by at least a factor of 3. So that's, I know it's early, and I know that's basically generally a bold statement, but that's the first indications we have seen, and I think some of the projects were even quite painful. You know, we did a lot of learnings on just one example, on the Telemetrics on-board unit. You know, we had some serious problems with that on-board unit, so it kind of for example, it ran out the car batteries during night because it was communicating continuously with the car electric environment. So some of the onboard units we had massive problems. So we paid a lot of, let's say, learning fees for becoming a solution provider in that domain. And still, I'm confident about that very bold statement that operators can really capture and consolidate that market if they move up the value chain. Good, so to summarize my presentation, first of all, it's extremely important to build up the ecosystem, but for that it's not just you building up partnership agreements in a traditional way. You need a tool, a platform which helps you to attract actually your vertical industry partners who have the know-how and the capabilities to make you successful, so who really complements your capabilities and make the operator's business successful in the vertical. In addition, you need to innovate. Innovation is extremely important. Having a platform which gives you developer sandbox, APIs, an agile environment. I think Jürgen Hase from German Telekom, which is, by the way, one of our clients using that innovation environment. He's always talking about this agility, and I think he's quite right, because the agility means that you have to try and error going forward, and doing that with a cloud environment and an agile software development team will really speed up the process, where you can drop innovation capabilities literally every second week. You drop, due to continuous integration into your software capabilities, new features, new requirements your customers want, and then you do it as long as you have the perfect value-adding solution on the market. And that type of innovation is something we see happening a lot, and I think it's very important for us to move forward and help also to identify additional use cases. And then we talked about climbing up the value chain. I think this morning presentation from Telekom Austria Group is, I think, 100% in line with my understanding of many of the telco operators' ambition. Then replication. We talked about how important actually the replication is, that you need to go from a bespoke enterprise development into an environment where you have horizontalized some software capabilities and ensure that you are separating your software innovation from the proprietary device capabilities. So this replication of use cases is utmost important for the business case going forward. And then finally, we talked about these M2M connectivity part, signaling challenge, and so on. And as you can imagine, as Nokia Siemens Networks, we are investing quite heavily on that area. We have some innovations which help operator to reduce the M2M signaling load by more than 70% compared to existing M2M deployments. So we put a lot of effort into that. That's our DNA. We are coming from that area. We are one of the largest infrastructure supplier, and we really take that serious in optimizing and identifying ways of differentiating our clients' M2M offering with network optimization activities. Okay, so all of this sums up into a development we have started 3 years ago, based out of California, Mountain View, and where we really started whiteboarding that solution and activity, and this year we have been rolling it out, and we have just below 10 reference customers deploying our cloud environment, and we are looking forward to partner and work with many more during next years. Okay, with that I'm opening up the floor for possible questions.
Thank you very much, Bernd. Any questions for Bernd Gross, please? The gentleman in the back in the middle. Thank you. Your name and company, please. I'm not sure behind.
Sandeer Gujral, Qualcomm. Just talking about your Cumulosity product, what is your expectation of involvement of the device vendors, even down to the chipset level, in communicating with that product? Is it standards-based? Is it proprietary? How are you approaching that?
It's a very important question, especially as we have these device challenges really as an industry at the moment. I think my experience is twofold. So one experience is that we have this concept of a smart agent. The reason why we have a smart agent concept, which is actually a software stack which either sits on the device or on the module for that sense. It's like a connectivity software capability which optimizes the signaling or the communication between the device and the network, so that it's not harming the network in a non-constructive way. So here we have some, I would say not a lot, but some very constructive discussions with module vendors and with device vendors who are helping us also to understand the other side of the business, something we as Nokia Siemens Networks are not very good in, I have to say, and so we need that competences and capabilities, and we are very open in working together and partnering. And by the way, our vision is to make that software capability, which will also help then the device vendors to get certified much easier in the operator environment, to make that device capability available free of charge. So we don't expect actually to make money with helping to overcome some of the device challenges, but rather make that available so that device vendors will also be faster accepted and certified by the telecom operators. And the other side is, so I mentioned there are two sides to that question. The other side is that some of the device vendors are a bit afraid, I have to say, because they feel something like that might commoditize their existing business. And I think that is a fair comment as well. However, I believe that there's a standard needed. The standard is missing at the moment, and therefore we have capabilities implemented into our platform. But a future standard will also commoditize, but the benefit of having a standard is growing the business much more, and I think that's what we all want, and I think so I would recommend device vendors to be open on that approach and prepare already for the future standard in working with vendors like us to optimize that challenge.
Thank you. Any other questions for Bernd Gross, please? I suppose that's it. Thank you very much, Bernd.
Thank you.
Thank you.